Hey everyone, Internet PCS book reader here. Today I want to talk about Downfall by Inio Asano. Inio Asano is the author of Solanin that I've previously reviewed on my channel. I've mentioned his most famous work there, that is Goodnight Pun Pun, in the video, and I did say that I want to talk about that too one of these days, but I just read 100 Years of War on Palestine a few days ago, and reading Goodnight Pun Pun after reading one of the most awful war in our history is a bit too much for me. And also I've read Goodnight Pun Pun before and I'm not in a hurry to reread it. Well, I haven't read Dawnfall yet, so I'm looking forward to finishing the book. Oh, and since this is Inio Asano work, trigger warning for many SA for this book. In Dawnfall, we follow the main character Kaoru Fuzukawa, a manga artist who at the start of his career got into a relationship with a cat-eyed woman. That relationship ended badly because of his obsession with his work according to him. 10 years later, he's an already established mangaka who married his editor and has a series that went for 8 years. But the sales went down in the later years, so the story had to end and everything went wrong after that. He can't get any idea for a new story. Other new younger mangaka started getting more popular. His wife is away all the time for other works and even stayed at other mangaka house. It is heavily implied that there is something going on, but it's never clearly defined. Because he cannot get any ideas for a new work, his break went on for so long that people start calling him "what's up," and eventually he had to even let go of all his manga assistants. He then asked for a divorce with his wife, and while the divorce was pending, he got closer and closer to a call girl named Chifuyu, a woman with cat eye just like the girl that dumped him in his earlier career. The main character Kaoru is without a doubt a scum. He's definitely had some talent because not only he had fans that are obsessed with his manga, and even his former assistant that absolutely hates his guts asked for his opinion about her work later on. But as a person, he's so incapable of learning, of growth. He had a high moral standard that he only used for others and not for himself. He didn't care about his wife enough to make her stay away from home quite enough time for the story to hint that she's cheating on him, while he goes to prostitution to get some sex. His kings are high school girls despite his age. He had a private message with his fan. He refused to acknowledge that what he did to his assistant was harassment, even though he acknowledged that it's a wrong thing to do. He dismissed other people's work as below his standard of storytelling, and he thinks that his readers are fools that don't know what's good even if it hits them in their face. And at one point in the story, when he is faced with his own words that he used against another person, he did something even more irredeemable by assaulting someone. He doesn't have the talent or courage to make what he thinks is a good story, and he takes no accountability for his own mistake. It's always you, your fault. You're the one who makes me do this. I'm not blaming you, but you're the reason why I feel like this. You're the reason I become like this. You people are the reason that the manga industry is going to destroy itself. You, it's your fault, it's not my fault. It's all deflection, so he doesn't need to see what he actually are. In one of Japan's most famous literature, No Longer Human by Osamu Dazai, the main character is also a scum. At a later point in his life, he lost everything that he had. But a kind single mother who raised her daughter alone took him in and basically saved his life. Despite them accepting him into their house and their life, he still stole their money and clothing to sell and buy alcohol. The main fear he has from the start of the story is people seeing him for who he is. Something that is camouflaging as a human to fit into human society despite not feeling like a human. At the end of the story of Dawnfall, we see the reason why Kaoru is afraid of cat-eyed woman. It's not because he had a bad breakup from his first relationship with a woman, but because she is the first and only person to see him for what he is, and not only that, but in his whole life where everyone around him either walk on eggshell around him or be passive-aggressive about him, the cat-eyed girl told him about himself in a straightforward way. He is a self-absorbed scumbag who looks down on other people. Someone who not only thinks that manga artists are the most important people in the world, but also see himself as better than everyone else in the industry and possibly even in society. Someone who would rather hurt other people instead of owning up to his own deficiency. In the cat-eyed girl words, a monster. It is a mature storytelling where I can see if people read it in the wrong way, they might try to sympathize with the main lead despite him being such an awful person, or are too immature to see that point of the story is exploring the story of such a garbage human being. The story also managed to show how lonely the society in Japan can be at times, It's a place where people are looking for human connection and human thoughts from the peoples that they pay in order to get those connections. The culture in the story, host club, and girls club are abundant in places like Japan. It is a place that is so lonely that such a unique job like rental person who does nothing can thrive. A place where instead of learning how to form human connection with another person, because not only is a place where sometimes you just don't have the time to learn them, but it is also a place where people sometimes don't have the courage to form a real human connection, where you cannot just blame people for doing their job, where you cannot just throw money at people to find a real one, and where a lot of the time you'll need to take accountability in order to form genuine human connection. After all, also another thing that is highlighted in the story is the lack of jobs in some of the smaller cities in Japan, and how despite small the town is, there is still convenience store and for some reason pachinko parlor. It's empty spaces highlighting another layer of difficulty in forming connection. The story itself is a semi-biographical of the outer life in which parts of it, hopefully a very small part of it, are definitely inspired by his own life. There's a lot of surface level similarity between Kaoru, the main character of this book, and Inio Asano, the author of. First of all, the most obvious one is that they're both manga artists. Kaoru in the flashback have a blonde hair just like Inio Asano's early life. The peach fuzz beard that Kaoru have at the start of the story is also the same look that Inio Asano have in his later career. Kaoru has just finished his series and Inio Asano also took around the same time to finish Goodnight Punpun. Just like Kaoru had a divorce with his wife, Inio Asano also got a divorce with his wife. And similar to Kaoru, who got this illusion by the industry because the editor only wants bland fan service and violent work because they sell more, Inio Asano also got a lot of flack from the readers who think that his manga is pretentious for trying to tell a more mature story, and some even call it mere torture porn because of how depressing they can get at times. Goodnight Punpun, which I've mentioned multiple times, is an example of this because it's such a depressing story. But in my opinion, that's where the similarities end. The difference would be where Kaoru only sees people to judge to avoid any criticism that is thrown at him. Inio Asano seems to believe that even if you wrote only mature story, the manga audience that only wrote the equivalent of young adult novel like shonen and shoujo will eventually mature and find interest in the story that he told. Meanwhile, Kaoru in the story never actually go ahead and wrote a story that he said will not destroy the manga industry. Because if he did wrote something that he thinks are good, and then got a lot of criticism for that work of his, then he cannot avoid it by making fun of what he deemed to be a superior story. Dawnfall is another masterpiece by Inio Asano. In a way, it is his modern retelling of No Longer Human. If you're looking for a story where the main character is a despicable human being and he is not represented in a way that will redeem him, then this is a must read. It can be heavy at times, as with most of Inio Asano's story. I would recommend to read it only when you're in a relatively good headspace, but it's definitely worth it. The art is amazing and it's fairly short with only a single volume. I give this a 5. What do you think? Are you gonna read it? Did I miss anything? Leave your thoughts in the comment below and subscribe to the channel. That's about it.